Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday to you. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another Freebie Friday video. Woo! Turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up. Today is Friday, May 22nd, 2020, and we are going to be discussing functions per request. And I always have to put this disclaimer or reminder out here. If there is a particular math concept that you would like for me to present, please feel free to leave it in the comments section and I will oblige. But do me this favor, make sure you kind of do it the day before or maybe a week before or something, because I have to prepare these nice, crisp, fresh lessons for you all. And it's very important that I, again, give you the best quality content possible. All right. Now, again, I am only going over algebra and geometry topics. I'm not doing trigonometry. I'm not doing pre-calculus. I'm not doing calculus. Um, as far as statistics, I will do the elementary statistics, which is mean, median, mode, and range. But anything higher than that, please visit the following websites that you see. They are all free and they are very helpful. And I've tried them for myself and I know. All right. So you can go to schoolyourself.org, create you an account, and you can have fun with all the higher math that you want. You can also go to purplemath.com. They explain things to a detailed perfectly, and chilimath.com as well. So please make sure that you give those sites a try for any of your high advanced math pleasures. All right, so I am going to try to do this video under 30 minutes. Okay, I do not want to rush this video, but I want to make sure that I explain thoroughly and as detailed as I possibly can about functions, how they work, how you can identify them, and what to do with them. So that way, when you see it on the test, you'll already know. So without further ado, let's get started. The mathematical definition of a function. In mathematics, a function is a binary relation over two sets that associates to every element of the first set exactly one element of the second set. In other words, for every input, there should be an output. Now, I will say this. I have been teaching in the adult education field for 5 years, and it's definitely been a blessing to me. But every year I seem to get the same issue with functions. I always have one student that functions, I don't know what that is. The thing is, you know what it is. It's probably just presented in a different way, and or it's probably been a while since you've seen it. So again, we've seen these things before. It's just been a while. All right. So think of this as a refresher course for you. Okay. Now, in math, certain terms are used in different ways. However, they have the same purpose and the same meaning. All right. So, for example, the word input has many different connotations. Depending on what type of math that you are working on, you may start off with X, which is the input. If you are working in, I think, algebra 2 or maybe trigonometry, they may use the word domain. In science, independent variable. So all of these things mean input. Okay, they're just used in a different connotation. Okay, but understand that they serve the same purpose. Okay, now the word output also has many different connotations. The Y value or f of x, which deals with more so with the functions itself. You also have range, and you have the dependent variable. Okay, so remember, just because you may have seen these types of words before, that doesn't mean that you don't know what they mean. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right. Functions can also be presented in many different ways. Okay, so again, I am going to go through each format of how functions can appear or what you may potentially see on your math a GED exam, or if you're not looking for a GED and you are, trying to refresh yourself on these things, I can show you the ways that you can identify functions. Okay. All right. So first things first, I'm going to make this bigger. This is what we call a mapping diagram. And a mapping diagram essentially deals with um, X values and Y values. Okay. When you put those values together, you get what's called coordinates or ordered pairs. Okay. So I, of course, am going to make this bigger because I can't see it either. Okay. Oh, all right. So hopefully that is big enough to where you all can see this. Okay. Now, I am only solely going to focus on, let me see, let me make sure. All right. All right. I am solely going to focus on numbers 1 and numbers 2. I will also leave the same worksheets that I'm working on. I will leave those in the pinned comment section as PDF files. So that way you can click on it, download it, it'll be yours. Okay. Now, it says determine whether each diagram depicts a function or not. Remember, what you're looking for in a function is for every X, there is one Y. But we're going to see here that you can either have multiple X's with one Y, but you can't have multiple Y's with one X. And we're going to show you that. I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so my handy dandy toolbar, I'm going to slide him back down here. All right, so as you can see here, I have 0, 2, 6, and 8. These values represent my X. Okay, again, this could be my X column, this can be my domain, or my independent variable, depending on which terminology you want to use. Okay, and this is my Y value. But for the sake of purpose, we're just going to say X and Y. Okay, now, as you can see here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 values of X, but I only have 1, 2, 3 values of Y. Okay, so as you can see, each line of X, each number of X is being used. So when I write out these as ordered pairs or coordinates, whichever one, this is what I'm going to have. So 0, 9, so I'm going to write them out here. So that way it's easier for you to see. 0, 9. I don't know why that always happens, and it's just been happening a little too much for me. Okay. So let me rewrite that. I have 0, 9. Okay. Then I go to 2, and that's also matched with 9. Okay. Now, I am going to go to my number 6, which is my X value, and that's going to be 6, 0. And then I have my 8 and 4. And by the way, these are commas in the middle. Okay, it's zoomed in, so that's the reason why it may look like something else, but I'm going to try my best to have them look like commas. Okay. Now remember, for every X value is only supposed to be one Y. That's what it normally is supposed to be. However, it is okay for you to have a multiple Y, meaning if you have two numbers that share the same Y value, that is okay. So that's the reason why this is depicted as a function. Okay. So I'm going to write somewhere up here. So I'm going to write up here. So you can have the same y value, but a different x value. That is okay. So same y, different x's, it's okay. Okay. And I probably should have flipped it. So in essence, you can have different x's, and the same y. That will still relate as a function. Okay. However, if we skedaddle on to number 2, you're going to see that number 2 is not a function. So again, I am going to write these numbers out as an ordered pair or coordinate, so that way you can see how it is presented. Okay, so now I have 2, 0. Okay, so I want you to see my cursor. I have 2, 0. Okay, and then I have 3. I'm sorry. Well, this is what I'm going to do. I have 2, 0, and I have 3, 6. So I'll just go in the order. I have 6, 1. Now, this number 8, which is an x value, it is sharing. So I have 8, 0. Okay. And that is the number 8. But again, because it's zoomed in, it may look a little, blurry. So I will try to make it out as neat as I can, which I did not do it again. Uh-oh. Undo. All right. The power of technology, isn't it beautiful? All right. So again, I have 8, 0. Now I'm going to stop right here for a second. If I only had these numbers here, this would be considered a function because of what we just stated over here. I have 2 different x's, but I have the same y. So this would have been a function. However, because, and I want you to catch this, because I now have 8, 5, that now makes me have multiple x's. Okay? So I cannot have the same x value. I can have the same y value, but I cannot have the same x value. All right? So because I have 2 x's here, and you have to make sure that you know the difference between your x values and your y values. Because I have the same x value, this would not be a function. So I am going to scroll up here and I'm going to write it up here. If I have the same x value, meaning the same number, if I have the same x value, it's automatically not a function. Okay, so I'm going to give that a sad face. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Okay, not a function. Okay, and I'm running out of room, so I'm just going to abbreviate. Okay, so again, I want to make sure that we recognize and understand that number one is a function because they have a different x value, but the same y value. So it's okay to have the same y value, the same range. That's okay. However, if they have the same x value, such as number 2, because we have 8, 0 and 8, 5. These are my x values. I cannot have the same x value, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I link in the pinned comment section these videos, not videos, I'm sorry, the worksheets that you can work on, okay? So that is one way that you can, I'm going to zoom back out of there for a second. That is one way that you can recognize how to see whether or not you have a function based on your x and your y values, okay? And more than likely, you actually may see this on your GED test, okay? All right. Another way that you can recognize functions, and this is more of an elementary style way of recognizing functions, is through a function table. Again, functions are simply just a different way that you can write an equation or graph an equation, actually, okay? So what I want to do, I'm going to zoom in, okay? And I'm only going to focus on the first one because the first one has already been done for us, okay? All right, so I want to make sure that that's big so that way everyone can see it if you're watching this video. All right, okay, perfect. Now, number 1 says y is equal to x minus 7. Now, this is what we call a linear function because the linear function takes on the format of y equals mx plus b. I do believe I have a video talking about slope in one of my playback videos, so please feel free to check out any playback videos for more information, okay? So all you're simply going to do is this. And this is also going to prove that for every input, there's only one output. So I am going to start with my x. So my x values are 8, 5, 4, 7, and 1. All I'm simply going to do is substitute my my number for my letter. So when I do this, I actually will have, let me move over just a smidge so that way y'all can see. All right, so in essence, I'm actually going to have 8 minus 7. I'm going to have 5 minus 7. I'm going to have 4 minus 7. I'm going to have 7 minus 7. And I'm going to have 1 minus 7. So the only thing I did, I just took each of these values here, okay? Each of these values, and I just substituted them in for my letter X. And when I do this, when I solve, I am going to get these outputs, okay? So remember, X represents your input. That's the number you're putting in to get something out, okay? So okay. So that's my input. And sorry about my arrow. And your Y represents the output. That is the result of when you solve. Okay, so output. Okay, and you can also do this with any type of operation, meaning you can add, subtract, multiply, and or divide. Okay, I just wanted to pick something simple, something easy, because again, it's all about knowing how to work certain things. Okay, and furthermore, they are going to also reinforce concepts that you should already know, such as subtracting integers and maybe multiplying integers, dividing integers, adding integers. So again, excuse me, if there's a video that you want me to work on pertaining to integers for a fresh recap, let me know in the comment section. Okay, so last but not least, I'm going to scroll down here. Make sure. All right. Graphs. Okay. So it says choose the correct choice that describes the graph. So, and sometimes on your GED exam, they may give you a picture and they may tell you, is this a function or not? Okay. So I want to go over just a couple of these to show you how to recognize whether or not you have a function, a picture is a function or not. Okay. Now remember, for every input, there's supposed to be one output. So keep that in mind. Now with number one, this is, as we know, a picture of a circle. Okay. So this is a picture of a circle. All right. So, I did not mean to write it like that. So let me just write it up here somewhere. All right. So we have a circle. Okay. And apparently I can't spell. We have a circle. Okay. All right. So we have a circle. All right. So because we have this circle, we are now going to see if we have either the same x, which remember, it's okay if we have the same x value. That's okay. But if we have the same y values, then we will not have a function. And based on the picture, I'm going to point out here. Okay. So at this point, this would be 0, 2. So I'm going to write 0, 2 as this point right here. This point is 0, negative 2. So because I have the same x value, which is 0, that is not a function. And we're going to prove that right now. See, not a function. It is not a function again because I have the same x value. Okay, so remember, if you have the same x value, you do not have a function. If you have the same y value, then you have a function. It's okay. So you got to know the difference between your x's and your y's. Okay. Now let's scroll over to number 2 very quickly. Now, number 2 is very common. This is something that we all should be familiar with. This is a linear equation. It's a line. Okay. So this is a line. So because this is a line, I can tell you that this is a function because I want you to see all my points. All right. So if I were to graph or write down each of these coordinates, which honestly, I do not have the room to do so, I would have a different x value and a different y. So for example, this point would be 3, 3. This point would be 2, 2. this point will be 1, 1. Remember, you're going to start at your origin, which is 0, 0. You're going to go over to your right 1 and go up 1. Okay? So these are all my positive numbers. To my left and going down are my negative numbers. So if I go to the left and I go down, that gives me -1, -1. If I go over -2 and go down 2, that gives me -2, -2. And if I go over 3 to the left and down 3, that is a -3, -3. And if I go from here to -4 to my left, and I go down 4, then it will be -4, -4. So because I have one input for one output. Okay, so I'm just going to say 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, I do not know why that happens. I promise you, I do not know why that happens all the time. Okay, -1, -2. I'm just going to stop right there because I'm running out of room. All right, so I have 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2. Also -3, 3, I'm sorry, -3, -3, and -4, -4 is also on there. But as you can see, for every input, I only have one output. That's really what you want. So because I have that, that is what makes this a function. Okay, so that is a function. Now, really quick, I want you to look at number 3. And I want you to take a stab to see if this would be a function or not. You can pause the video at this time and take a guess. So I'm gonna give you maybe about 1 minute, or you can pause the video and to determine whether or not this is a function or not. And after this, we are going to wrap up our session. Remember, I'm trying to keep these videos as concise without rushing as possible. I believe in good quality content. I also believe in making sure that I thoroughly explain why things work the way that they work, okay? So again, pause this video right now, and I want you to, determine whether or not this is a function. Okay, so let's look at it. We have, and I don't know what kind of function this is. I believe there is a name for it, but I honestly can't remember what it is at this moment. So if you know what the name of this function is, please drop it down in the comment section because I forgot. But as we see here, we have 4, 4. So that's 1 point, okay? And then we have -4, 1. So we have -4, 1. We have 4, 4 over here, okay? Now, some people will question this is a point. Well, technically, because it doesn't have the point right there, we are not going to treat it as such because it does not have that point there. So in math, I know sometimes we like to make up our own rules, but you have to use what's being given to you. So this would technically not be a point. Now, if this was a point, meaning that if it had the dot right here, right, then this would be technically not a function because remember, I'm sorry, it would be a function, excuse me, because I have different x's but the same y. So this would be a function because of that, okay? So again, we're not going to treat that as such, but nonetheless, it is still a function. And it is a function because I am only looking at the 2 points that were given to me. Okay. Wow, I didn't see that I erased that. Sorry. All right. So again, I will be sure to leave this worksheet as well in the pinned comment section. So that way you all can have practice and access and making sure that you know how functions work and how they do and what they do and all that wonderful good stuff. Okay. So this actually is going to conclude my presentation on functions. I was going to say fractions. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this screen share. Okay, and turn it back on to me. Little singing interlude for you all. All right, so again, I really hope that you enjoyed this presentation about functions. I hope that you have found it helpful and laughing at all my corny jokes and all of that good stuff. As an educator, it's very important that I make the people comfortable and make the people feel comfortable. Okay, because when you're comfortable with something, you are destined to exceed and to do well in it. Okay, so remember, just take the time to watch these videos. Make sure that you are using all of the resources that are provided either in the description box or in the pinned comment section. And again, this is your lesson on functions. Try to keep it as short, sweet, and to the point as possible. Okay, so if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it down in the comment section and I will be sure to answer them. Okay, so I pray that you have a wonderful and blessed Memorial Day weekend. Remember, Memorial Day is on Monday, the 25th. So let us pay homage and our respects to the soldiers that have fought for this country to protect people like you and me and that have gone on to glory, and we'll pray for their families, and we just thank all the veterans, um, all the military, everybody that is in a branch of a military for their services. We really do appreciate everything that you do for not only people like myself, but for this entire country. So God bless you all. All right. So again, Miss Hampton loves each and every one of you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Absolutely not. And until the next Freebie Friday video, bye.